Good evening, everyone. This is a meeting of the Borough Council on February 3rd, 2021. The notice requirements provided for in the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied. Notice of this meeting was properly given by transmission to the Asbury Park Press and the Two River Times, and by posting at the Borough of Highlands Municipal Building and filing with the Borough Clerk, all on January 1, 2021. Please be advised that due to the current state of emergency and public health emergency declared by Governor Phil Murphy and pursuant to executive order in an effort to prevent further spread of COVID-19, the general public will be excluded from Borough Hall meetings until further notice. The public will be able to participate in all Borough Council meetings by video conference. Members of the public will be able to give public comment during relevant portions of the meeting. If you want to ask a question or make a statement to the governing body, please press the raise hand button, then wait to be acknowledged by the clerk before speaking. If you are calling in, please use *9 to raise hand. Please state your name and address for the record before making your statement. There is a 3-minute time limit for your comments. The clerk will inform you when you are near the end of your time and ask you to finish up. Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
To ask if everyone, if they could please remain standing for a moment of silence for Mrs. Carol Lucko, a longtime resident and an active volunteer in the borough. Thank you.
At this time, I will now call roll. Councilmember Martin.
Here.
Councilmember Mazzola.
Here.
Councilmember Melnick.
Here.
Council President Olszewski.
Here.
Mayor Briand.
Here.
Thank you. The mayor will now read a proclamation in memoriam of Miss Nina Flannery.
Whereas Ms. Nina Flannery, a longtime citizen of the Borough of Highlands, passed away in her beloved borough on January 20th, 2021. And whereas Ms. Flannery served with honor as the borough clerk for 22 years, from September 1987 until she retired in September of 2009. In 2019, when the borough was again in need of a clerk, she selflessly came out of retirement from July through September to serve Highlands until the role could be permanently filled. Whereas Ms. Flannery was a 5-generation Highlander, she served Highlands in many capacities over the years as a Lions Club member, Garden Club member, Board of Education member, and Historical Society member. And whereas Ms. Flannery will be sorely missed and fondly remembered as a kind, friendly, and helpful neighbor who had a strong sense of community. The Water Witch Coffee Shop will be missing one of their favorite customers, and Saturday mornings at the farmer's market will never be the same. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Highlands, their deepest condolences and sympathies to the Light family. And be it further proclaimed, the Mayor and Council extend their deepest thanks in fond memory for the well-lived life of Ms. Nina Flannery, and for her contributions and dedications to her family, friends, neighbors, and our community. We wish you Godspeed and eternal peace. Done this 3rd day of February 2021 under my hand, Carolyn Bouillon, Mayor of the Borough of Highlands, with members of the Borough Council, Joanne Olszewski, Council President, and Council members Kevin Martin, Linda Mazzola, and Donald Melnick. And to the members of the Light family that I see here, she was deeply loved here in Highlands. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. We now have approval of minutes. We have January 1st, 2021 regular meeting minutes, January 20th, 2021 executive meeting minutes, and January 20th, 2021 regular meeting minutes.
I will offer them.
I'll second.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola,
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick,
Yes.
Council President Olszewski,
Yes.
Mayor Brion.
Yes.
Motion carries to approve meeting minutes of January 1st, 2021 and January 20th, 2021, executive and regular. Tonight, we have one ordinance for public hearing and final adoption. That's O21-08, an ordinance designating restricted parking in front of residents occupied by persons with disabilities.
I'll offer it.
I'll
Does
second.
anyone at the table have any comment on this ordinance before we have the public hearing?
No. No.
All right, then I'll open it to the public. I do not see anyone with the raised hand. Michelle, can you please confirm?
I do not see anyone as well.
And then with that, I'll close public portion. And with that, I will offer this ordinance.
I'll second it.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola,
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick,
Yes.
Council President Olszewski,
Yes.
Mayor Brion.
Yes.
This ordinance has passed on second and final reading. Next, we have three ordinances for introduction. We have, the first is O2109, an ordinance amending Chapter 25 of Borough Code with regard to stormwater management and control.
Just for a little bit of background before we vote to introduce this, this is a mandated by the DEP, and the last time that we updated this ordinance was back in 2018. Every few years, the DEP comes up with new measures, and then they give us pretty much the shell of an ordinance that we then pass for the Department of Environmental Protection. And with that, I will offer this ordinance.
Second.
Hold on one second.
Councilmember Mazzola seconded.
Thank you. Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola,
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick,
Yes.
Council President Olszewski,
Yes.
Mayor Brion.
Yes.
This ordinance has passed on first reading with public hearing set for February 17th, 2021.
And this ordinance will be transmitted to the Land Use Board.
Next ordinance is O21-10, an ordinance amending Chapter 7, Traffic of the Code of the Borough of Highlands related to areas of stop intersections.
And again, just to explain this somewhat, there's some parts of Second Street and Valley that have no stop signs. So we just want to make sure that there's no accidents at these corners. So we're adding some stop signs. And with that, I'll offer it.
I'll second.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola,
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick,
Yes.
Council President Olszewski,
Yes.
Mayor Brion.
Yes.
This ordinance has passed on first reading with public hearing set for February 17, 2021. The final ordinance for tonight is O21-11, an ordinance amending Chapter 7, Scheduling 1, no parking of the Code of the Borough of Highlands related to areas of no parking in various locations throughout the borough.
Council President Olszewski has been in discussions with the chief about this ordinance, and as they are still discussing it, we're just going to table this until they could finish that discussion, and then we could have clarification to whatever questions that there were. So we could move on to the resolutions.
We have to make a motion to table the ordinance.
Make the motion to table.
I'll second.
Was that Council President Olszewski?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola,
I also spoke to the chief today, and to get a better understanding, and I'm fine with tabling it. Yes.
Councilmember Melnick,
Yes.
Council President Olszewski,
Yes.
Mayor Brion.
Yes.
This ordinance is tabled until February 17, 2021. Next item on agenda is resolutions. We have Resolution 21-47, a resolution authorizing payment of bills.
I'll offer it.
I'll second.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola,
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick,
Yes.
Council President Olszewski,
Yes.
Mayor Brion.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt. Next, we have Resolution 21-48, a resolution authorizing participation and acceptance of hazardous material emergency preparedness grant, HEM program subaward CFDA number 20.703.
I'll offer it.
Second.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola,
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick,
Yes.
Council President Olszewski,
Yes.
Mayor Brion.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt. Next, we have R2149, a resolution appointing full-time employees in the Department of Public Works for the Borough of Highlands.
I'll offer it.
Second.
second.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola,
I just wanted to explain to the public, because there were some questions about why there are 3 hires here. But it was after speaking with Mike this morning, it's my understanding that the recent full-time laborer that we hired had quit. So one is a replacement, and the other 2 are being hired because Ron feels that we need it, and he wants to utilize the more experienced men for bigger and better things. And I have a lot of faith in Ron. So with that, my vote is yes.
Councilmember Melnick,
Yes.
Council President Olszewski,
Yes.
Mayor Brion.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt. Next, we have R2150, a resolution declaring acceptance of the contract for miscellaneous contract work within the borough.
I will offer it.
I'll second.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola,
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick,
Yes.
Council President Olszewski,
Yes.
Mayor Brion.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt. The last resolution we have tonight is R2151, a resolution authorizing purchase of facility cleaning services.
This one, I am going to make the motion to table as well, as we need some additional information on the state contracts. So if I could have a second?
I'll
I'll
second.
second.
That was Councilmember Mazzola?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola,
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick,
Yes.
Council President Olszewski,
Yes.
Mayor Brion.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries to table this resolution to February 17th, 2021. We have no other business on the agenda, so next is reports.
Can we start with communications?
Sure. So it's done. And we've had 2 successful committee meetings so far in 2021 here. Great energy coming from the team, and a lot of the focus being on how we're continuing to improve the means to communicate with the town, not only in digital means, but also considering the fact that there are a number of individuals who may or may not be on Facebook and may prefer a paper or traditional means of getting a message out. And so ideas regarding bulletin boards about town and addressing, various hot spots of activity, whether that's near the new parking spaces or down by the beaches, to the extent that we can provide multiple modes of communicating borough business and keeping the town informed as best possible. Also, a lot of the focus has been on the improved website that was launched late last year. And while there has been a lot of improvement in terms of look and feel, that user experience, there's been a good deal of content that was a one-to-one port from the prior website. And so the committee has agreed that we should consider prioritizing those sites, and knowing that we can't get everything at once, focusing on those areas of the site that need get the most traffic. And thankfully, there was good consideration that went into building the site that has Google Analytics built around website activity, so we can see demonstrably through numbers where there is the highest amount of traffic. And so we'll factor that into the prioritization of the redesign.
Very nice. Next up is environmental.
So there, on our first meeting, it was actually, it went really well. Most of them are very involved. They care about the community a lot. They want to improve their lines of communication regarding some of the stuff that's already been put in play in terms of what they're supposed to be a part of, what they're not supposed to be a part of. And want to be able to talk more and communicate more with the council. Other than that, just the normal stuff that's kind of gone around protecting the Bay Area, the Bayside area as well. And that's basically it.
Okay. We'll stick with you, Kevin, with Green Team.
So Green Team did not meet. And that was last Monday. So yeah, they did not meet.
Did the members just not reply?
Yeah, there wasn't much of a reply. I mean, I was able to get to some of the information, but for the most part, there was nothing.
Okay, well then it looks like we're looking for members of the Green Team if you could put in some citizens forms. Let's go to open space.
Open space also didn't meet. There was confusion regarding the scheduling and where that scheduling invite was going to come from. And so we've rectified it for going forward. I'll take the lead on scheduling those meetings so that on that last Wednesday of the month, we'll have a consistent Zoom to be available. And I think, related to that and in general for the remainder of the committees as well, I think we're going to make an effort again to utilize the website to publish those Zoom meeting information, so that these meetings are open to the public and it's not simply the committees who are going to have a voice in those conversations. So look for that as well for not just the open space meeting, but the other committee meetings as well.
Excellent.
Just and to the point of openings on committees, Carolyn, just a note that there is one new opening on the open space committee, no pun intended. So please find those forms and submit away. We could always use help.
Exactly. And if people aren't sure of where to find the citizens form on the new website, you just put it into that "how do I" and it should come right up. And if you still can't find it, just give me a call and I'll get one over to you. The last committee is Shade Tree.
Shade Tree did meet in January, and again, good energy coming out of that committee, and along with recapping some of the issues already on the table from the committee. I think there's also a desire to make this a sustainable committee, so that not it's just the actions of those who are sitting on the committee now, but also a sustainable model going forward, so that this very important work that's being done to continue to beautify and make best use of our public lands continues on past those committee members who are sitting today.
Outstanding. Thank you.
And a good shout out, just one last thing, just on Shade Tree, good cooperation again with DPW. Ron took a look at one of our issues, our persistent issues regarding a tree, And it wasn't more than a half a day before I got a response and somebody out taking a look at another issue. So thanks to DPW in yet another way of responding to the town's needs.
Very good. And I guess on that note, and before we get to the administrator's report, I think everyone would love to join me in giving a great shout out to DPW and the work that they've done after this storm. It's really was outstanding to see such a great level of service that our residents enjoyed. And with that, we will go to the administrator's report.
Thank you. Yes, I'd also like to thank Ron and the guys for doing a tremendous job in the storm. I mean, they worked nonstop and did a great job. I had a meeting scheduled with the Middletown Building Department to go over the shared service this past Monday, but unfortunately that had to be rescheduled. I had to attend a couple of required meetings for the Safe Routes to Schools grants, so hopefully that's kind of on track now. And just to update everyone on the Waterwitch pump station, as a lot of people probably know, there's some issues with the building. Our engineers are on top of it. The work is going to commence shortly in order to stabilize the building or whatever we have to do moving forward. So I just want to remind everybody to please just stay away from the site, just to be careful. And that's all I have.
I know it's not on here, but Ron, I see that you've joined us. Is there anything that you would like to share with the residents?
He's muted.
There you go.
Oh, looks like Ron's having the same problem Joanne had.
Oh, no.
Reboot.
Can't hear you, Ron. Nope, muted now. Oh,
Okay, I'm sure Ron is sending his best to everyone. He worked like a dog for those 3 days straight. It was really a tribute to see such professionalism in the field. We thank you. Does anyone else have anything before I open up public portion?
I was really kind of hoping that Ron would be able to weigh in. I kind of wanted to hear about how we fared through the storm. What areas of town did better than others? What were some of the pluses? What were some of the minuses?
I think he might be typing.
Sign language?
Ron, I had a similar problem in the executive meeting.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay. That's a great-
rebooted.
Yeah, he
that's a
called.
good idea. Hang on. Wait.
You got to mute
We have that
Linda.
problem
Yeah.
too.
Wait, you can't mute Linda. Wait, you won't be able to hear. Is he going to be able to call in? Maybe.
Zoom has that option, yeah.
Yeah, he can call in and then just mute himself so it doesn't echo. But now you have to unmute Linda.
I'm gonna try and send Ron the call-in number. Well, we can continue. He can jump back in. I just texted it to him. Technology is great as long as it works. Michelle, if you see a number coming in, let us know, please.
Carolyn, do we want to move the public portion while this works out, just in the interest of time? Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it would have happened a little bit faster.
Yeah.
Well, you want to see who has the queue going? With their hands raised?
Okay, I see Mr. Chris Francie. Can you please state your name and address?
Hey, guys, Chris Francie, 36 Fifth Street in Highlands on the corner of Valley and Fifth. I'm not sure we can get full answers now, but at this point, I'm concerned about the Valley Street pump. All right, the pump is, in my mind, not functioning correctly. The pump is running at this point 3 or 4 hours before and 3 or 4 hours after high tide. All right, the pump's not supposed to be running that much. All right, the problem most likely is that the check valve is propped open either by sand at the bottom or the gasket is not working. I'm not sure what, but for years, the pump would run 10 hours a month because the check valve was stopping the water from coming in, and the only water it had to deal with was rain events, etc., and water pooling in the system underneath Bay Avenue. So I'm not sure. It's too bad Ron isn't on. All right, but at this point, something needs to be done. You're going to lose the diesel motor. It's not supposed to be running as often as this. All right, so I'm not sure how you want to handle it. I'd like to understand what's going on. I know you do too.
Bennett is on the call from CME. Michelle, can you unmute Ben? There he is.
Of course.
All right, there you go. That's the first I heard of the Valley Street pump, but I can work with Ron to look into that, see if that's something that is simple, removing a blockage or seeing if the check valve is working properly. We'll look into that.
It's not simple, Ben, but I thank you for that. All right.
Okay.
It's a confined space entry into where the check valve is, et cetera, et cetera. All right. So we just
Michelle?
don't want that pump to be running 12, 14 hours a day.
Michelle, I see Ron on the call. Can you unmute him or can we tell him how to do that? I see him appearing here. I see his number. There he is.
Oh boy, that's annoying, huh?
You just have to turn off the computer.
I gotta figure out how to do that.
Away from it. Go away from it.
Any better?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, good.
All right, so the pump station on Valley Road. We are having a problem with the valve on that. Seawater is getting in there. We're gonna work on fixing that. The motor's not in any danger of failing. I have the motor maintenance regularly. Monmouth County's coming out on a shared service sometime this week to check the motor out. That's it, pretty much. I mean, Waterwitch Pump Station, I'm working on that with the contractor to shore that up. The guys did do a good job during the snowstorm.
And I'm here to answer any questions anybody has about any of the projects we have going on.
Just one question, Ron. Early when you guys were working on the Valley Street pump, the rumor was that the controller wasn't working.
Right, the parameters got messed up on the controller somehow. Probably during a power outage or when they rehooked that phone line back up. I'm not sure exactly what took place, but it's fixed now.
The controller is working.
Yes, it's working.
That's good for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
I would like to, Ron, when you couldn't dial in, I was hoping that you can do a recap of how, where we did well this weekend? How did we do at Snug Harbor? What happened down by Vets Park? The good,
the flooding we had?
The bad, and everything in between, if we can have a recap.
Sure. Snug Harbor held up very well. The project that's almost completed there did its job. We had minimal flooding around that area. The only flooding we had came all the way from Captain's Cove area. All those streets flooded from Captain's Cove almost all the way over to Snug Harbor. I took some pictures and some video, which I will put together in an email and send out to the mayor and council. The best time to go over and look at Captain's Cove to see where the water is coming from is, like today, you can see in the sand where the water came through the bulkhead, eroded, and ran into the streets. And you can see the path the water took. There's several holes in the bulkhead there that need to be addressed. Veterans Park, that flooded a little bit. We got some work to do there. I'd like to figure out with engineering on how to build the seawall a little bit higher there. What else? Did we have some flooding?
I think, did you have some issues just prior to the storm on Bay Avenue? What was that? Was that Saturday?
Oh, trying to think what that was. Oh yeah, that was some issues with the North Street pump not cycling on correctly. The float got stuck. I addressed that. There were some weeds and stuff around the float. So that should be fixed. I met with the JIF guy today. He has some concerns about the North Street pump station, safety-wise. So I'm going to get some temporary fencing, put some temporary fencing up there with a lock gate on it to keep people away from that until we address that, which is coming very shortly. Any other questions for me? Or?
Excellent. Does anybody in the public have questions? Carolyn, I guess, are these hands raised for Ron? I don't know.
No, they've been raised.
Okay. Thank you so much.
If you're finished, we're going to go back to the public.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you
so much.
No problem.
You guys worked very, very hard these past few days.
We tried. The guys actually got called back in. Two of the guys went back in at 2 o'clock this morning because it snowed a little bit and now the roads had to be salted again.
Thank you for all you do.
Not a problem.
The next hand I see is Kim Skorka. Can you please state your name and address?
Kim Skorka, Shore Drive. I want to thank the DPW for their awesome job they did with this storm. I don't know if the roads have ever been this clear, this quickly, and this consistently in any storms in the past. I'm going to quickly rattle off my questions because I only have 3 minutes. I asked the following questions during the January 20th council meeting and didn't get answers. I also sent an email that night and only Linda Mazzola has responded to that email. I wanted to know what was deficient in the borough code for the administrative assistant position. None of the council members told me why they gave up their advice and consent, and nobody told me whether they ever considered whether or not Mayor Brion would not hold this position in perpetuity, and it could be disastrous to have a future mayor appoint such a strong position. No one provided an explanation why a one-year council member was appointed to the land use board. You have Councilmember Mazzola for a year. She could have consulted with the new appointee who could then carry over into the next term. No one told me what the commercial vacancy rate is in Highlands and how many parcels are available for commercial development. I know a couple of candidates ran on bringing businesses to Highlands. I'd like a benchmark. And I've been attending council meetings on and off since 2007 and regularly since Sandy. I find it surprising that our freshman council members do not want to be questioned or challenged. The recent social media post about dog whistling, vile people, and that they have to, quote, deal with a person like me, unquote, is abhorrent and divisive. We all want this town to be the shining jewel it can be, but we'll never get there when council members feel alienating others is the right thing to do. If the 3 new members had attended council meetings over the years, you would see that every member is questioned on their votes. Budgets are questioned, projects are questioned, new positions are questioned, new hires are questioned. You are not any different than any other council member, past or present. When you run on a platform of bringing in new business or better communication or fiscal responsibility or whatever your passion project is, you should expect to be held accountable. Thank you.
I do have one number for you, Kim, and that is the, there are 139 parcels total on Bay Avenue. Of those parcels, 23 of them are vacant. And that means either a home that is vacant, an empty lot, or a business that is vacant. So doing that math quickly is 6%. Michelle? Can we move on to the next?
Of course. The next I see is Claudette D.
Hi, this is Claudette Dorigo, 12 Seadrift. This first question is for Carolyn. This was the question that Carol Bucko had given me 5 days before she passed that I asked you at the last meeting. You never answered. So I'm going to ask it again. And I know Muriel Smith was asked to ask the same question also. So here's the question. Since the HBP was sunsetted and severed from the financial ties to the town in September 2019, are you intending to have the HBP involved in the town or on governmental issues in the future? That was a question that Carol, because she was in the hospital, could not Zoom and ask. She asked me to ask it. So I'm asking you on behalf of Carol, if you don't want to answer me, please answer her.
The HBP is a private 501c3 organization, just like the Garden Club is, or the Historical Society, or the Lions Club, any of these other clubs that exist. There is no tie to the government between the Borough of Highlands and the business partnership. The business partnership happens to be the only business organization that is here in Highlands. There's also an Eastern Chamber of Commerce, but I don't know if any Highlands businesses are a member of that chamber. So
have they been encouraged to?
I'm sorry?
Have they been encouraged to join the Eastern Monmouth?
Of course they were. You gave the presentation for it.
I know I gave the presentation, but it didn't actually go anywhere until I was off council. I mean, it wasn't, when I was on council, the HBP was still the 501c3 and the DMC at the time. They were not sunsetted till 9 months after I was off council. So with that assumption, bringing in the Eastern Monmouth Chamber was
it's not about bringing them in. For a chamber, the way that they work, there's a Latino Chamber of Commerce, there's LGBT Chamber of Commerce, there's African American Chamber of Commerce. There's a lot of chambers that are out there. The Eastern Monmouth is just one of many chambers that exist here in New Jersey. And chambers are different than what folks here in town were used to with the bid. It just organizes differently. It collects money in a different manner. And it's solely, the way that the fees are done are solely based on number of employees.
Understood.
Any business is free to join any chamber that they want it to, and they're certainly not prevented from doing so.
Okay, understood. And my second question is for Mr. Martin. Last meeting, I mentioned that I wanted to give you some time to research my questions concerning flood mapping and insurance with businesses. Here's my question. You ran on a platform of bringing new business into town. Since you are now the land use liaison, can you explain how you plan on explaining the various flood zones in the business district to new potential businesses? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
I can hear you, Claudette.
I can
Hold
hear you.
on. I don't know if he's muted. Give me 1 second.
Oh, I can hear.
There you are. I'm sorry.
Do you have an answer? I mean, I tried to give you a couple weeks to kind of get your feet wet and understand the various flood zones. Obviously, after this week, we saw certain things occurring, but I'm just wondering, you know, how do you intend to bring new business in? Because that was one of your platforms. And how are you going to explain to them what occurs downtown when it floods and the insurance issue that they're going to have? Because it is going to be a very expensive insurance issue, because most businesses are not going to be able to elevate due to the fact that they'll have to put in an elevator and assortment of other things. But that's a land use question. So I'm asking if you were able to get any bearing on that. I mean, it's a pretty big question for the land use. And as a liaison,
I'm
you
sorry.
have to give them.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Your 3 minutes is up if you finish your
My
thought.
minutes, but Mr. Martin didn't answer, so I would like an answer. No answer? Wow. Okay, no answer. Can you just state that you don't have an answer? Hello?
I'm still here.
Do you not have an answer? Or are you choosing not to answer?
Would you like me to call the next person, Mayor?
Please.
Okay. Next we have Edward James. Please state your name and address.
Jim Smith, 380 East Van Dorn Avenue, Holly Springs, Mississippi. Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one that doesn't get any answers when they ask questions. I just think it's a terrible indictment on your administration. So I don't expect any answers tonight, but the beryllium, your engineer highly recommended that it be retested once the soil's been removed. The soil's been removed. Has it been retested? That's number one. Number two is there was a 2,038-page report done by the engineer regarding that those spoils deposits. Are they going to be paid for by the individual that illegally dumped on a borough right away, or is the municipality of Highlands going to assume the burden of that financial cost for that report?
Bennett, would you like to take the question regarding the testing? If you're with us.
I think he's muted again.
There we go. Yes. So the soil has been removed and the additional follow-up testing is scheduled for next week. As soon as the snow melts, we'll be going out there and doing that testing.
Thank you, Bennett. Brian, can you please speak to the cost?
It's being addressed. That's what I can say.
Okay. I believe Michael Cannon is next.
Yes. Can you please state your name and address, please?
I'm Michael Cannon at 10 Central Ave, and a question for Carolyn. I wanted to, given the flooding over the last few weeks, I just wanted to check that there is a strategy to address this high frequency flooding. And I also wanted to follow up. You had made a comment at the last meeting about the Army Corps plan requiring an act of Congress. I wanted to just note that that act of Congress was passed and signed into law in December, and that, you know, it's real. We're going to have to address it and decide. I would suggest, and I don't know if you have a strategy to do this, to look at what the town really wants and whether we want to come up with a counter proposal to the Army Corps plan. And there's an agreement that the town would vote on the plan. So I think that if there is going to be a vote, maybe we should be working to decide what we want, because the old saying, you can't get what you want until you know what you want. Decide what we want and put that as a counter proposal, part of the same vote. But I do want to note that this high frequency flooding, you know, that occurs high tides and small storms, we need a plan to address that. And then we need a longer term plan to address rising sea level. And also we need a plan for the rainfall, you know, just what are we going to do to increase the drainage capacity on a couple of the roads that flood frequently. So I'm just asking if you can give an overview of what your plan and vision for this is, or strategy.
Well, to start with Army Corps first, the plan is only 30% done, which means that it is 70% unfinished.
I would agree, and I would say it's probably less than 30%.
That's the number they gave us, was 30.
If we want to change the plan, it would have to be done. The only leverage is before the project partnership agreement is signed. And that's the next step. And that is scheduled in the next year or so. And so
Well,
I think that
it has not been scheduled.
Well, in the report, it's listed as scheduled in the next year. So that we need to somehow engage the community to discover what would be acceptable and if we want to come out with a counter proposal, because they are bringing money, 91 cents on the dollar.
I'm sorry, sir. Could you, this is the clerk, can you wrap up your last thought, please?
And to note, you know, in Port Monmouth, they're paying 100% of the cost. So, you know, there's possibilities that they're bringing the cash. If we can take advantage of it, it would be good.
Absolutely. And our DPW superintendent, who prior to joining us had 22 years with the county, and he is working closely with the engineers to look at this flooding issue, and especially the repetition that has gone on in the last, I'd say, month or so.
Okay. Next, we have Jeffrey King. Can you please state your name and address?
Hello, my name is Jeffrey King. I live at 24 Elizabeth Parkway in Eatontown. Thank you, Mayor and Council and my friends in Highlands for your time. I appreciate it very much. I just wanted to touch base again, follow up on the topic of medical cannabis dispensaries in Highlands. We were just here on the 20th, and it was nice to hear that you guys are really seriously considering moving into a compassionate posture to welcome a business of healing medicine. So we're happy to hear that. And so I was eagerly anticipating the planning board agenda being posted so I could study what the discussion was going to be. And so when I looked at their land use agenda for tomorrow night, I saw nothing on there that I recognized pertaining to the topic. So I'm sure that you are working on it. So please, if you wouldn't mind indulging me, just let me know like where you stand and what I should be looking for and following, tracking the the progress or who I could talk to offline or how I could help with that in any way. I appreciate your guidance.
Me offline, and the land use board unanimously decided that it was not inconsistent with the master plan, so it's going back to council for the next council meeting.
Oh, I didn't realize I had missed that part of the process already. Thank you. I didn't realize that was already through there. I appreciate it. I would have liked to have sat in on that, but I'll be there when it gets to council. How do you know when that makes the agenda?
The 17th.
Oh, wow. I'm impressed that you're moving along so expeditiously. It's worth taking the time to make sure you get it right. And I appreciate so much what I'm hearing tonight. Thank you, Mayor. And thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you. Have a good night. Take care of yourself. I believe Lizzie is next.
Yes, please state your name and address.
What happened to Lizzie?
Okay, now you can hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Excuse me, Lizzie Harvey, 15 Washington. I just wanted to express a combination of astonishment and real disappointment that the resident on Seadrift, that Kevin Martin could not give the courtesy of a response to the resident on Seadrift. I don't know if there's a backstory there, but I hope that that strategy will be rethought going forward. We're only in February, and it does not seem that it is right to just dismiss and completely not respond to the residents' question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, I see Trisha R. Can you please state your name and address?
Hi, Trisha Rivera, 31 Waterwich. I'd also like to have my questions asked from the last meeting. I'd like to know why you let Doug Bromeyer go under the premise of more marine projects, which based on the borough's project list, which I keep track of, is completely false. So there's one proposed marine project which was given to Mazer last week, but Doug was involved in every single one of our projects. That's number one. Number two, I want to understand why you don't believe. I'd love to see, first of all, I'd like to thank Ron, and I would love to see the video that he took of Captain Cove. And I would like to know why you don't believe it's an emergent issue, which I asked last week. We actually had property damage at this time around. So something needs to be done, and something needs to be done now. And the other thing Jim Smith brought up earlier regarding the soil sample, the 916 conditional mercantile license given to Captain Cove said that a soil sample had to be taken, and it needed to be paid by them. So we need to be reimbursed for that soil sample. It shouldn't be paid by the borough. Now, I'd also like to know who will be the contact for 36 runoff. And I've also noticed that JCP&L is going around just cutting down trees. So I'd like to know if the green tree, the tree committee is going to be looking at trees that JCP&L is just cutting down. They cut a giant tree down that didn't need to be cut down in our area. And then I'd also like you to answer Kim Skorka's questions, which you completely ignored again from last week. You have to answer questions, guys. You have to. That's what you answer to the public. You were voted in by the public. You can't just be silent. So you're going to answer anything or not? I mean, is it the way it's going to go with you guys?
Well, first off, no project was given to Mazer. Mazer was just brought on as a consulting engineer.
Okay,
We're
but
not
that
gonna-
wasn't my question. My question was why you let Mr. Bromeyer go. That was my question when there was only one marine project. One marine project.
One marine project? Are you kidding me?
What's the other marine projects?
You're not going to listen to what the answer
No,
is.
I'm asking you what the marine projects are, Carolyn. I know every project. I have a list of every project that's going on in this town every time you pass a resolution or ordinance.
In my opinion, is a marine project.
Excuse me?
Every outfall that's in this borough is a marine project.
So infrastructure is a marine project.
Infrastructure.
That's part of infrastructure.
Vets Park is a marine project.
One, okay. That's not even on the list yet, but go ahead. What else?
On whose list? It's on my list.
It's not on the borough's list of projects.
Project list, but it's on something that needs to get addressed. Ron spoke to this earlier.
I understand that, but the point is, so, okay, so
That's it. If you're going to
I'm
talk,
sorry.
then we're done. Michelle,
you're
we're done.
answering my questions?
Michelle,
You're not gonna answer my,
I'm sorry. Your 3 minutes is up.
if you're going to talk over somebody, it's kind of hard to answer any questions. As the attorney said, we are working on the reimbursement, and there is no project manager named for Route 36 runoff because we are in continuous talks with the county and the state. And I think I got all of that. No project given to Mazer 36 runoff reimbursement.
Would you like me to call the next person, Mayor?
Please.
Next one is Melissa Peterson. Please state your name and address.
Melissa Peterson, 17 Bay Street. 3 questions. One, has the confidential administrator been hired yet or named? 2, I'd like to reiterate the one question for the 3 new people on why they would give up their ability to vote on a new hire and why the borough administrator would give up his ability to vote on a new hire. And 3, is Kevin Martin going to ignore everybody or just Claudette or just certain people? I'm just curious. So if you could answer those 3 questions, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
No one has been hired yet. Mike, did you get the ad out yet?
I didn't get the ad out yet, but I will probably in the next week.
Okay.
Mike, if you don't mind, can you share that? I'd like to take a look at it when you
Sure.
create it. Thank you so much.
Sure.
I can't answer any of the other questions because they weren't directed to me.
I'm sorry, I don't know if one was directed at me. Could you repeat it?
Directed at you. Giving up your ability to hire the confidential, whatever, the administrative assistant, all of this for administrative assistant. It really is a little bit ridiculous, but okay.
Well, first of all, I mean, I work for the council. So basically, you know, they're the final say. I would interview the people for it. And of course, in order to make sure it was a good fit, I would want the rest of the council to meet the person also.
Would any of the other council members
I
like?
certainly don't have a problem, and I agree with Mike. It needs to be a good fit. This town has a lot of direction ahead of us. I don't know what untoward thoughts you have to question so deeply this position. This town is going to be so different in a few years from now. It's going to be doing all sorts of terrific things. And if Carolyn feels that need, I don't see anything wrong with it.
Melissa Peterson has requested to be unmuted to respond, I guess.
I'd also like to say a few other things, Linda, if you don't mind.
Oh, no,
I've given a little counting, and I think this is our 32nd or 33rd day on council. Each of the others have been spending their time in the committees they're in. I have been spending my time digging deep into what I am involved in, and I'm listening. Believe me, I'm listening. Anyone who's reached out to me, I've given back what I could give at this point. Give me a few more months before you come back saying that I'm just silent. I'm silent because I'm learning. And I'm doing my best to learn what I have and how best I can give to where it's needed. You can't imagine the reading, if nothing else, the reading that's involved to be on top of everything. And to ask us to make these big, broad statements at this point, I think is reaching. We came out for these jobs. They're not jobs. A job is much easier than this. We came for a reason, and I don't think anyone has a reason any different than mine, in that I'm so grateful to be here. I love being here, and I want to help. I want to give, but don't ask for the ceiling while we're still getting grounded. Okay, thank you.
Also, I just want to say, and for me, like I said, most of the stuff is still a learning process, and I'm thankfully a quick learner. It's been a lot of research. I've had a bunch of people on land use and a couple other people reach out and help. And I think I've done a fairly good job, but at the same time, this is the third meeting, and with each meeting, I get better, I learn more. And I from a specific group, I don't expect to be given the same luxury of time, but I choose to use that time to learn and research and kind of go from there. If you think I'm being silent towards you specifically, I'm sorry. But at the same time, if I can't be given the same luxury as time as everybody else has, then there's no back and forth for me. There's no point. So that's what I'm doing. I'm working very hard. I'm learning a lot. I'm thankful to the council people around me and the committee people around me who have helped move me along as well. And yeah, and go from there.
Yeah, and I'll just throw in one last thing, Mayor, just to the extent of, the need to approve the administrative role that we're asking for extra hands to help both the mayor and the administrator. I think this council should and will be judged on the results. I feel that the extra hands that we've authorized as part of that vote help improve outcomes for the town, then the voters will reflect that in the next election. If not, we should be then held accountable for a lack of productivity. And so let the results speak for themselves.
Well said.
Michelle, if you could please unmute Melissa Peterson so she could follow up or finish her statement.
Thank you. Because the statement was, because why would you give up your right to vote as a whole and give everything to Carolyn? I don't necessarily understand that. And I don't understand it as a business administrator, because the person's going to report to you. So I feel like it's a legitimate question, and I feel like when the question gets ignored and put off, it becomes problematic. Kevin, the last meeting you spoke over me and then I got muted. This time, I feel like people ask questions and then you come off as very arrogant and just stare people down. And if that's your attitude, that's your attitude. And I don't understand why you think people can't question you and why any of you think that you can't be questioned, that you're above being questioned or be above having anybody ask anything, that we as the public don't have the right to ask anything. To me, that's just silly. And with that, I'm just going to end it because there's no point.
Okay.
You can mute me again.
I
Thank
do
you.
want to say that I don't think that anyone feels that we shouldn't be questioned. I think there's a big difference between questioning someone and accusing someone. So far, I've been accused of lining my pockets, having people in my pocket, being whatever, the mafia of Highlands. These are things that people say to me on a daily basis. And they say it from behind their, keyboard warriors. But there's a big difference there, and it sort of wears on you. So there's a big difference between shouting at somebody and having a conversation with them as well.
Carolyn, you termed the thing ignorance of their arrogance. You termed that like 8 years ago.
No,
And
yeah,
it's like
they're
you're actually
arrogant-
living that now.
arrogant in their ignorance is what I coined.
Okay.
But I'm not saying it to be arrogant. I'm saying that we're all neighbors at the end of the day. We all need to be here.
I think you've forgotten that.
Pandemic.
In my personal opinion, I think you've forgotten it. You're not the same person that started Highlands United. You're not.
And that's your opinion.
You've,
Thank you.
okay, you've reached your 3 minutes.
Also, I just have one thing to say, a couple of things in regards to what you just said.
Hang on. I'm going to end public portion.
Yeah.
Now, final thoughts from the council, if any.
So very briefly, for me, when it came to Ms. Peterson, the last conversation, if you thought that I spoke over you, I apologize. I thought you were done. I started speaking. And then you kind of yelled. At that point, I could have just walked away from the situation and let it be finished. Did not handle it properly, at least in my opinion. So I have no problem apologizing for that. Secondly, as I said before, I've not been given the same luxury of time to catch up on things or learn things, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. If my silence seems like arrogance, it's because I know that it is exceptionally futile to sit and go back and forth with someone, especially people who have never met me or tried to sit down with me or talk to me, like majority of the people in this town. I apologize if that comes off as arrogant, but that's not who I am. What it is me saying at some point, I'm a 37-year-old man. I don't need to go back and forth. It's just not going to be useful for the town. And that's how I choose to handle things. My silence is me saying, okay, you're going to say what you're going to say, and there's nothing I can do about it. Other than that, if that comes up, if you have any questions, honest to God, I hope it doesn't seem like I'm ignoring particular people, but at the same time, I don't waste my time on things that are more attacks instead of questions and with other motives to them. And that's how I choose to handle things. And that's basically it.
Linda, Joe, Don, do you any of you have anything else to
You
say?
have questions for me? My phone number is public. My email is there. If you wanted to talk to me, people have. And I gave answers even. So I don't like that, this blanket that you're trying to lay on us. Give us some time, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Don, Linda, do you have any final comments?
I do not.
No, thank you.
Let's not forget, we're still in the midst of a pandemic. January was a very rough month for us in Highlands. We lost some really good people, some stalwarts of our community. We had 72 cases, new cases of COVID in the month of January alone. Right now, we're only in the third day of February, and we already have 9 new cases. I've said it before, I'll say it again, we are all neighbors. We need to take care of each other, and we need to help each other get through this. I know it's a very crazy time. I know a lot of people are shut in and are not seeing their normal having their normal social interactions. Drop in on a neighbor or just call them or just try to help each other get through it. And with that, I will motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
Night.
Night.